Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we're going to be talking about and showing you how to play and reviewing Northgard Uncharted Lands. So Northgard Uncharted Lands was designed by Adrian Dinu and was published by Studio H. And they're distributed here in the United States by Hachette Board Games. So I want to give a big thank you to Studio H and Hachette Board Games for this free review copy of Uncharted Lands to play and experience and film some content with. Also, before we get too deep into this, I do want to say I've got a ton of links in the description down below that you can check out at your leisure. There's a link to BoardGameCaptain.com, which is a great hub for all things Board Game Captain. There's also a link to my Teespring store where you could get yourself some cool Board Game Captain merch, t-shirts, mugs, etc. And if you're in a position to and would like to support the channel, there's a link to my Patreon. All right. So, without any further ado, we're going to get into Northgard Uncharted Lands. So, why don't you go through the stats here?
60 to 90 minutes. That's a lying liar that lies.
Okay, so it's truthful at lower player counts. 60 to 90 minutes is truthful at like 2 to 3 players. Mm-hmm. I think if you're going above that, and especially if you're going, and this game can go up to 5 players, if you're going to play at 5 players, you're not going to be in the 60 to 90 minutes.
It's going to be 3 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be significantly larger, especially if you're playing 5 players with some people who's their first time playing. It's going to take a lot longer. So we did want to address that. 60 to 90 minutes at 2 to 3 players. Yeah. At 2 to 5 players, maybe not so much. Now, the fact that it does play at 2 to 5 players, we got to talk about how this game plays equally well at many different player counts. Mm-hmm. So now you said...
I like it best at 2 players.
Which is weird for a 4X game, which is what this is. 4X games are usually like 3 or more players, and if they have a 2-player option, don't usually play well at 2 players, mm-hmm. or alter like the base mechanics of the game for 2 players. Like they add in like phantom players and stuff. Mm-hmm. And this doesn't do that.
No.
And it plays really good at 2 players.
Yeah, it plays pretty much the same.
So, now, I do think there's a bit of an issue for how long it goes at 5 players. It might overstay its welcome a bit at 5 players. But it's pretty amazing how well it plays at 2 players. So we wanted to talk about that. Now, 14 and up. I think this is actually a pretty good estimate. Yeah, I'm right on the money with that.
I think it's accurate.
So yeah, I was gonna say we often disagree with this, but there's actually, well, this is not like a super advanced 4X game. There's a fair amount going on here, and there's even more advanced modules in here. One big one in particular to add on and even add more complexity to it if you want to, which is really awesome. So let's have a look at what comes in the box when you buy a copy of Northgard, the Uncharted Lands. I'm going to pass the box and the rest of the components over to you to start pulling stuff out, but I'm going to start with the rule book here while Lynn's pulling the next thing out. And the rule book is huge. It may be a little intimidating when you first look at it. But it's full color. It's got tons of illustrations and diagrams, which is great. I mean, this is a very well done rule book. I had a couple of minor issues, but nothing I couldn't solve by further going into the rule book and looking at it again. And then now for the actual rules for the main game, you're looking at 17 pages of rules, which is a fair amount. This is kind of in the heavyweight, I would say. It's like maybe on the lighter end of heavyweight. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So, but then after those 17 pages, you've got even more stuff because, for instance, there's the creature module, which has a lot more rules and takes up from page 18 through page 23 if you would like to play with the creature modules. So now, all right, we're going to talk about what we've got here. We've got a bunch of cardboard punch-out tokens, which you're going to see a lot of these out on the table while we're playing. This is a building in particular. Here, we also have these cardboard tiles for terrain. These, you're going to see a lot of these out while we're playing as well. These are really nice, but I mean, you know, they're linen finish, but they're cardboard punch-outs. They're what you would expect. Next, we have the cards. Now, there are a ton of cards for all different types of cards. I really like the artwork on them. I think the artwork is very nice. And I also really like the iconography on these cards. The iconography is very clear. Like, that is a build action. The hammer means build. You know what it does. This is an explore action. The little map tile picture there is to explore. You know what it does. They're really well done. They're that smooth, shiny finish that you usually like. I prefer linen finish, but isn't this like you've said before? I think this is your favorite type of cards to shuffle.
Yeah, it's easier to shuffle for whatever reason. I don't know the physics behind it, but for me personally, it's the easiest to shuffle.
And that's fair. So that's you're going to see a lot more of these out. Again, there's a lot more cardboard punch-out tokens. There's miniatures. There are these miniatures of soldiers with Viking soldiers with axes here, as you can see, axes and shields. There's a ton of these for each of the 5 colors. What are the 5 colors?
Purple, yellow, green, blue, red.
And those are all really good and look very different on the tabletop. And then also there's a bunch of miniatures for the creatures. I want to show some of these here because these are gorgeous. This is a bear, obviously. We have a couple of bears in here. There is wolves, and there are 3 wolves, which if you're playing with the creature module are nasty little buggers. Here is a Draugr, which is like an undead Viking. If you have ever played the game of Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim, you know what a Draugr is. Draugrs are all over that game. And then we have a Fallen Valkyrie, who is the nastiest, most offensive version of these. Now, we're not going to be showing in the tutorial, we're not going to be showing the creature module, but we're going to talk about it during the review. And I did want to show off the minis for the creature module because the minis for the creature module are absolutely gorgeous. But that's really about it. I mean, it's got a really nice big insert. I do want to show that. We also have some custom dice. Forgot to mention those. There's some really cool custom dice with all different sides here. And we've got a really nice insert that actually really well has a place for everything. Really well done on the insert. Big thumbs up for me on the insert. But yeah, without any further ado, I think we can head over to the table. We're going to run you through a few rounds of this game, which are done as years. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how this game plays and feels, and we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, so here we are set up to play a 2-player game of Northgard, the Uncharted lands. So in order to set up, the first thing you have to do is you have to place out all of the resources over on the table. Lynn has set them into different little cups. Those do not come with the game. Those are our own. But you have your food, your wood, your knowledge, and your fame. You also have to set out the dice. And then you have to place out the turn tracker and put the little turn tracker token, which is a little wooden disc, out on the year 1 on the turn tracker. Then you have to place out the unrest cards on the table, which are over here. These are all identical to one another for if you cannot provide during the winter for your people. Then you have to shuffle up the development cards. Now for the development cards, you shuffle up the early development cards and the advanced development cards separately, and you deal out a number of advanced development cards equal to the number of players times 2, and then a number of early development cards equal to the number of players on top of it to make your development deck. And a number of those equal to the number of players are going to be coming out each round for the players to try to get. Then you shuffle up the achievement cards. The achievement cards have a different back to make them stand out, and the achievement cards are a number of them are dealt out equal to the number of players, and these are different for every game, just like the development cards, to keep it very different and refreshed. In the case of this game, the achievement cards we got are the Builder and the Wood Trader. The Builder says if you were to get this, you gain 1 fame per small building and 3 fame per large building that you control, while the Wood Trader gives you 2 fame per wood symbol you control on the board. That includes both wood actually on the board as well as buildings you have built or taken control of. Next, you have to place the starting tile out on the board. Now, the starting tile has a different back from the other tiles. Just to show you, this is what the back of the other tiles in the deck looks like. There is a second starting tile if you are playing 5 players, which you search the deck for, pull it out, and use it as a second starting tile. The rest of the tiles are shuffled up and made into a stack, which is slightly off of camera here. Each player chooses a color and takes all of the units of their color as well as the 6 starting cards of their color. I will be playing purple over here on this side of the table.
I'm playing yellow over on this side.
Then each player chooses a faction, one of the different clans to play, and you take the 3 clan cards. Now, one of the clan cards gets shuffled into your deck with the other 6 starting cards to become a 7-card deck, while the other 2 are upgrades, and you can later upgrade and add them to your deck. Now, I am playing the Goat Clan.
And I am going to play the Raven clan.
Now, they have asymmetrical powers with their cards. The starting card that is put in the deck is unique to each clan, and the upgrades are unique to each clan. In addition, you each get a cheat sheet, which is two-sided. One side has a cheat sheet for all of the clan powers on it, which is very, very cool and good for a quick reference on what the powers of both you and your opponents are. While the other side is a cheat sheet for all the phases of the turn and how much food and possibly wood you must pay each winter. These cheat sheets are fantastic. Once you've done all this, you shuffle up your starting deck and you're ready to go. The last part of the setup we're going to do on camera. So to choose who goes first, we're going to roll the dice, and whoever gets the most axes will be the first player. So I'm going to roll. I got 3. This is a ×3, so I actually got 4 axes. That's going to be tough to beat. Oh, but Lynn got 4 axes as well. All right, let's do that again. I got 3 axes this time. And Lynn got 1. So I will be going first. Also, I forgot to mention that our starting resources are we get 2 food and 2 wood. Now that is for the first 3 players while playing 2 or 3 players. Playing more than 3 players, the 4th and 5th players get an extra food. Now the final part of the setup we're going to be doing on camera here is we each draw 3 tiles from the exploration deck here, and we're going to place our first few tiles on the board as well as our first few units on the board. So I have the first player token here, which denotes that I'm the first player, and since I'm the first player, I'm going to be placing one of the tiles first. I'm going to place 1 tile out, and then I'm going to place 3 units in one of the territories that is at least partially on the tile that I place. For my first tile, I'm going to place out this tile here. Now this tile has no resources anywhere on any of the areas. It does enclose a small territory in the middle of the board. And to start with, I'm going to place my 3 units there. That there is also a small empty square there, which means there is room for me to build on that territory, which is why I chose it. And then that is my first tile placement. Now Lynn has to place a tile too, and there are a few rules we have to abide by when placing tiles on the board. When there are these border lines, we can't make the borderline just disappear. So if you, for instance, this borderline here, were to place a tile here and here, the last one, if none of them have borderlines, like how this one doesn't there, the last one would have to continue the border in some way. So Lynn has placed a tile there that has a food icon on the board as well as a build space. That is a really good territory, and it continues so Lynn can keep exploring from that territory that she just chose. For my second and final placement, I am going to place a tile here that has a rough border, the yellow border there. Now that means that it costs 2 movement points. You have to do a movement that has 2 movement points to move across it. We'll explain that further when we're doing movements. And I am going to take that territory because it has a wood and it has a large building space. These larger squares with the corners cut off are large building spaces for the 3 types of larger structures.
I'm going to place right there.
Oh, you closed in your other territory, and it's now a large territory because it's on 3 tiles, and you gave it a knowledge. Very nice.
And I'm going to
place out there so you can explore.
Yeah.
Taking the other side of the rough border there, and also you have a large building area. Now the last 2 tiles we had in our hands get shuffled back into the deck, and then we are going to be able to start the game. So starting with the first year, we are going to draw 4 cards from our starting deck, and we're going to deal out 2 cards from the development deck. Now I'm going to move the achievement cards further back because they don't come into play until much later in the game. And the 2 cards from the development deck we have are the Town Hall and the Scouts. These cards can be earned by passing when you are done doing actions at the end of the first year. You'll see that in a little bit when we get to the end of the first year. Both of them are the victory points at the end of the game as shown on the bottom. They also have abilities because you add them to your deck. They have abilities that you'll be able to use in the future when playing these cards. Both of them have lightning bolt symbols, which means they can be used in addition to other cards during that round. And in the case of the Town Hall, it has a recruit action. In the case of the Scouts, it has an explore action shown on the card. All right, so without any further ado, we're going to get into it. And I'm going to go first because I'm the first player for right now. And I'm going to take an action on my turn. I'm going to start my first turn with a build action. I'm going to play a build card here. That's all it can be used for, is a build action. I'm going to build a small building, which costs me 1 wood, so I'm going to give that back to the bank. And I am going to take a food silo. The reason I'm taking a food silo, food is a very important resource, and I don't have any apple symbols on the board yet. I'm going to build it in this small square here. Now, my faction ability for playing the Goat Clan is that every time I make a building, if I make a small building, I get 1 free food from the bank. If I make a large building, I get 3 free food from the bank. Now, it is important that I do not discard this card. When you play cards, they stay out there. They don't get discarded into your discard until you pass. But the one action is all you do on your turn, so now it is Lynn's turn.
I'm going to do the same thing.
Oh.
But with
different resource?
Yeah, because I don't have any wood.
So you're going to get the Woodcutter's Lodge.
So I'm going to build the Woodcutter's Lodge right there.
Oh, so now you, correct me if I'm wrong, you have every resource, right?
I do.
Oh.
In that one territory.
In that one territory, which is incredibly valuable. Lucky for, well, I was going to say, lucky for you, you have enough guys there to defend it at the moment. But that is probably the most valuable territory on the board right now, having all 3 resources in that one territory. Very appealing, that territory, I must say.
Don't be looking at my territory.
I'm going to play a Feast card. Now, Feast card is a wild card. You can use it to recruit, to move, to explore, or to build, your choice. And I'm going to do an Explore action. Now, to do an Explore action, you have to control a territory that is open, not closed on at least one side, and I have that here. And I'm going to go looking for something new. So I'm going to draw a new tile, and I have to place it there. Now, this is an interesting one because it has a space where you can make a carved stone on it. It's the only way to get carved stone, which is the only building that can give you knowledge. But it also has an open space here that has food on it. In addition, there's a space here with the print, the paw print, and the cave. Now, FYI, there is a module in the game where these add wild animals and monsters to the board, but we are not playing with that right now. So right now, we ignore that particular symbol. So I've decided to place it like this so I can enclose my territory here. So I now will have 2 enclosed territories, and this is a fairly large territory, like Lynn's already has over there, and it has a couple of spots I can build on. Now, the space where I can build the carved stone, I could also build any small building on it. It's just that I can't build a carved stone somewhere there is not already a stone to carve. When enclosing a territory during the game, though obviously, as you saw, it did not happen during setup because it doesn't happen during setup, but when you enclose a territory during the game, you earn a number of fame equal to the number of tiles that territory is spread amongst. This territory is spread amongst 3 tiles, so I get 3 fame for enclosing it. Now, fame has numbers on it. As you see here, these are 1 fame each, but you place them face down, and it's up to your opponents to remember how much fame you have accumulated. And that will be it for this turn for me.
I'm going to do an Explore also.
Oh, you got another knowledge. Look at all that knowledge you're accumulating over there. Wow. Very cool. And that is almost certainly going to be another large territory. FYI, when you close a territory that is only on 2 tiles, that is considered a small territory. Anything larger than 2 tiles is a large territory. And later in the turn, and you'll see that in a little bit, are worth more fame, which is kind of like victory points in this game. Now, Lynn did not close that territory, so she does not earn any fame right this second. Are you finished with your turn?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to play my faction card here for the Goat Clan. Now, the Goat Clan card is a card that is played with a lightning bolt, which means you can play it before or after another card with or without a lightning bolt, but do multiple actions in a single turn, which I am going to take advantage of here. And this is a build action, and its special ability on the card is that when doing this particular build action, I could make a building that already exists in the particular territory I'm building in. Normally, you are not allowed to have more than 1 of any particular building type in a single territory. I'm not going to be taking advantage of that right now, though, because I do want to build a carved stone, because unlike Lynn, I do not have any way to get knowledge at the moment. So I'm going to place that carved stone over here. And since I played it as a lightning bolt, I get to play another card, and it's another one of those wild feast cards, and I'm going to use it as a movement this time. And I'm going to move this one dude here. He's going to come over towards my side of the board and take this territory that has the food in it, and it's still wide open, so in the future I can start doing some exploration over here or here. Now that is going to be it for my turn. Real quick, I forgot to pay for my carved stone, which is 1 wood, and then I'm going to pass the turn back over to Lynn.
I'm going to do play another feast.
Okay.
Which is the
wild
card, and I'm going to do another explore, hoping to seal off that territory.
Good luck.
Yes.
Did you get it?
I did.
Oh, you sealed it. So that is worth 3 fame. Awesome. Well done.
My Raven ability is that when I close a territory while exploring, I get all the resources on it, so I get 1 knowledge as well.
Indeed, because there's 1 knowledge right there. Now, on my turn, I'm actually out of cards in my hand, and that's why I did the 2 cards at once before, so I could pass first. Now, when you pass, you discard all the cards you have played into your discard pile face up. If you had any cards in your hand, you would discard them as well. So you can pass early in order to get the benefits of passing before your opponent does, because the biggest benefit of passing is you get to choose one of the development cards. So if I'm the first to pass, I get to choose from any of the development cards and I place it on top of my deck, so it will be drawn immediately for my next turn. Also, the first player to pass takes the first player token. Since I already had it, I just keep it. I'm going to be taking the scouts because they are worth 2 fame, which is sort of like victory points for the end of the game if nobody wins the game before the end of the 7th year, which we will explain in a little bit. So I'm going to place that on top of my deck, and that's going to be it for me, and then it is Lynn's turn.
My last card I'm going to use is going to be a move, and I am going to move I'm going to move him over here.
Okay, and then you will still be able to explore in the next year without having to do another move. Then, of course, Lynn is going to pass and discard all her cards, and she will get the Town Hall on the top of her deck. Next, we have the Harvest Phase, and the first thing in the Harvest Phase is that we get fame based on the territories we have fully closed. You get 1 fame for a small territory and 2 fame for a large territory. So, since I have 1 of each, I get a total of 3 fame. But as you can see, Lynn has 2 large territories, so she will get 4 fame. Are you going to trade that 1 in and get a 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we get the resources that are shown on these spaces that we control, including with buildings that we have built there. So I have 2 food, 1 wood over here, and 1 knowledge. Thank you.
I have 1 food, 1 wood, and 2 knowledge.
You are very knowledgeable. Next, we have the Winter Phase. Now, the Winter Phase is done by the number of units you have on the board. Now, neither one of us did a recruit action in the first year to keep our units low, so we only have 6 units on the board, which 4 to 6 units, you have to spend 1 food to maintain your units. So doing so, nothing bad happens, but if you're ever not able to support your units, you have to add a unrest card to your deck, which takes up space and has no action, and is worth -5 victory points at the end of the game. Then we have the end of year phase where we check to see if anyone has won. No one has won. We move the token on to year 2, and we're going to start the next year by again drawing 4 cards, which should be the rest of the deck. We do not reshuffle the discard into becoming the deck until we need to draw again, and we place out 2 cards from the development deck for this year. And now the 2 cards we place out are Militia and Scout Camp. Now, Militia gives you 2 moves, which you could use both of those to cross one of the yellow borders, which the normal movement cards cannot be used to do. It also has a lightning bolt, so it can be played in addition to another action on the same turn. Scout Camp lets you do an explore action. It's worth a victory point, and it says instead of placing the drawn tile, you may put it on the bottom of the pile and draw a new tile. So if you don't like the one you got, you can go for a different tile. For my first action, I'm going to play a recruit card, and I'm going to recruit another guy over here because that's in the one area where I'm exploring, and I may want to move out of this area into newly explored tiles shortly. And then with a lightning bolt, I'm going to play that scouts card I just got, which lets me immediately explore. So I'm going to draw a card and see what I got. Very nice. I have gotten a tile that has a small build square that has a possible carved stone on it, and I also have a large build square. Now, the large build squares become very important as you play the game, because the way to win the game early is to have 3 territories fully enclosed that each one has a large building on. If you do that by the end of any year, you will win the game. If you don't, if no one does that, and you make it to the 7th year, whoever has the most fame wins the game of Northgard.
Okay, I am going to use my Raven Clan specific card,
Okay.
where I can draw 2 tiles and choose one and place the other one on the bottom.
You guys are the best explorers in the game.
Well, I'm going to place that one right there. It's not closed because
That side is still open.
Is still open.
But it gets you even more knowledge. Wow. You are like rocking that knowledge gathering over there. Really, really awesome. Are you all finished?
No, I have a lightning bolt on there, so I am also going to play just a regular old Explorer card.
Wow.
And hope to
finish it off?
Yes.
Did you get the tile to do it?
I believe I may have.
Oh, great. And you did, and it got you another food, too. Wow.
So one guy is on this whole big...
But that's huge. So how many territories is that?
1, 2, 3, 4.
So you get 4 fame.
4 fame, and I also get the resources because of my clan.
Right, the clan ability for the Ravens. So yeah, you just got some great stuff there. Well done. Well played. Nice turn. By comparison, my turn is going to seem far more anticlimactic over here. I am just going to do a regular old Explorer action. I'm going to draw this tile here. But you know what? It's a good one because it will, in fact, let me close off part of this territory. Not fully close it off, but it also will give me another wood. Because now I have a wood in this territory here. And that is very, very useful. I like that. So that's going to be it for my turn.
Okay, I am going to upgrade one of my cards. So I play a card.
But you don't do its action.
I don't do its action, and I put 3 knowledge in the bank.
Correct.
And I'm going to upgrade to my Raven Mercenaries card, which goes in my hand.
Now put the Raven Mercenaries out so we can read what it does. What does the Raven Mercenaries do?
So the Raven Mercenaries cards lets you recruit 2 units in 1 neutral territory, and you can use additional resources to place 1 additional unit in that same territory.
Wow, that's a really cool recruit card. So now Lynn's got that in her hand, which means I might be seeing a lot of soldiers show up on my border over here. I was thinking her territory over here seemed really tasty, but she might be thinking my little territory over here seems really tasty. I'm kind of a little worried right now. So I'm going to pass because I'm just going to get rid of the last card in my hand and discard it. It was just a move card. I didn't really need it. And I've decided I want to pass early so I can get my chance of getting one of these cards over here to start the next year off with. I'm going to take the Scout Camp because it is worth 1 victory point, and it lets you basically do a weaker version of Lynn's faction ability from her starting faction card, where I get to draw a tile. If I don't like it, I can draw a different one to replace it. Of course, Lynn's is more powerful because she draws them both at the same time and can pick the better of the 2. I place it on top of my deck, which is currently empty, so it's the only card in my deck. And then I am completely done with the action phase of this turn, so Lynn can just finish us out.
So I'm going to play the Raven Mercenaries card, where I can recruit 2 units in a neutral territory. So I'm going to place them in this territory.
Now, question, are you going to pay for the extra units or just do the 2?
I'm just going to do the 2 because I have the Lightning Town Hall card where I can just recruit 1 dude. So I'm just going to basically get him there for free. Okay,
and those, of course, are connected to a open area, which means that you can keep exploring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is that going to be it for you?
That's going to be it. So then I get the Militia card.
Yes, which goes on top of your deck there. Okay, and then again, we do the harvest phase. During the harvest phase, again, I still only have 1 large and 1 small, so I get 3 fame for my closed territories. But Lynn has managed to get a third large territory, which means she gets 6, which is pretty huge. That's a lot of fame. Next, I get 2 food, 2 wood, and a knowledge for my territories here.
I get 2 food, 1 wood, and 3 knowledge.
Then for winter, I have now enough units on the board that I must pay 2 food to the bank to support them. Lynn, how many do you have?
I have 9 exactly, so I need to pay 2 food as well.
1 more, and she would need to pay 3 food and a wood to support that many units. Now, again, at the end of the year here, no one has won, so we just move the turn marker forward. And at the beginning of next year, we would deal cards out again. Now, the one big thing we didn't get to show, but might have been coming soon, because Lynn has so many units on her side of the board, is an attack. So really quick, we're going to fudge an ability for Lynn to attack me here. And the way we're going to do it is I'm just going to move 2 of these units and from here to here, which would have been 1 move, and this 1 unit across the hard border here, which she would have needed a double move for. But if she had done that, she would have had a huge force that she could have attacked my units over here. Now, to do that, she would have had to play a move action. But after doing it, she would decide how many of those units would invade my territory. So, Lynn, how many of those units would you like to invade my territory with?
So I'm going to do 5.
Okay, so 5 of your units are going to come in, which means that you have 5 strength of arms in that area, and I only have 3, which means it's not looking good for me. Now, the next thing is we could decide if we want to spend food to boost the strength of arms there. You can spend 1 food per unit there to give it a second strength of arms. Lynn, are you going to spend any food in that area?
I'm going to spend 1 food.
Okay, I'm going to spend 2 food. I do need to keep 1 back for winter here, but I really feel like I need a little extra. So that brings Lynn up to a 6, but it brings me up to a 5, which gets me much closer to Lynn's strength level than I was before. Now Lynn rolls the dice to see how many axes and skulls she gets. Axes add to the strength of arms, while skulls will let her kill units. So Lynn got 3 axes, bringing her 6 all the way up to a 9, and 2 skulls, which means she kills 2 of my 3 units in that area. They still get their strength for this fight, though. Again, now Lynn has 9 strength there. So I roll, and I got, whoa, a whopping 5 axes and 1 kill. So one of her guys was killed for this fight as well. Now, the 5 plus the 5 I already have actually means that I win this fight. I did lose more units than she did, but she will have to retreat back to her territory for having lost the fight. Now, after the fight, the dead guys are removed, and obviously, even though I won the fight with a miraculous roll with a lot of axes there, it's not looking good for me. If Lynn were to get another move card immediately thereafter, there's no way I'd be able to hold out. Now, if you kill all of the units of your opponent, for instance, if Lynn had gotten just 1 more skull, you automatically win that territory regardless of who had the most axes. In the case of a tie, the defender wins. And that's how a battle goes in Northgard Uncharted Lands. So that's it. That's how you play a game of Northgard Uncharted Lands. So now we're going to head back over. We're going to talk about how this game plays and how it feels. And we're also going to discuss the module with the creatures in it. And then we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, welcome back. That was how you play a game of Northgard, the Uncharted Lands. So this is obviously meant to be a 4X game. Lynn, what are the 4X's in a 4X game?
Explore, expand, exploit, and extermination.
Yes. So, and this covers all of that. So I think personally, so first off, let's go through those real quick, one by one. So explore, you have an exploration action, and in my opinion, this does some of the best exploring of a 4X game I've ever seen. A lot of them, they kind of hand wave the exploration, or it's done sort of as a minor thing. This is like a major part of the game.
And depending on which clan you choose, some want to explore more than others.
And some have special abilities for exploring, yeah. Then for expansion, of course, you expand out and you control the different areas. You're trying to control areas with more resources and more building space, right?
Yeah.
And then exploit, you're exploiting the resources in the building space. And then exterminate. So you will wind up attacking each other. When playing more than 2 players, there is a negative to attacking too much, because if you overextend, someone else might attack you in the back. But yeah, it's definitely in there like we showed. So actually, I mean, this really well covers, in my opinion, all 4 of the 4 X's. And specifically, I think does the exploration better than a lot of other 4X games I've played, at least on the tabletop. What do you think?
Yeah, because a lot of other games where you do exploration, it's like almost impossible to do it on the first few turns.
Yeah,
Like with Twilight Imperium, you actually got to like get to other planets first.
yeah.
Um,
So it takes a little while to
it's
get out
more
there, and
it's
yeah,
the exploration is more of a
it's immediate in this. Yeah,
it's a main component
yeah.
of the game.
It really feels like one of the biggest components for sure. So then also, generally speaking, this has a lot of other mechanics going on. It's got some deck building, which is, I think the deck building is really interesting in this. And then in addition to that, it's got some like hand management too, like because you get a hand of cards every turn, and then you got to manage them and control them. And
Well, there's no I don't know. I don't know about hand management because usually with hand management there's like a hand limit.
well, you've got the limit of 4 cards unless you get there's one particular building that lets you get an extra card. It's one of the large buildings. But you pick the cards and you manage in what order you play them, similar to
Okay.
other hand management games. There definitely is hand management. I'm going to fight you on that one.
Okay.
There's definitely hand management in this game. All right, so that's a basic idea of how this game plays. Let's start with some negatives. Lynn, what is a negative you have for Northgard Uncharted Lands?
Um, it is like there's a lot of components and it does take a while to set up and break down, but it's not as bad as some games. Like there are some games where setup and breakdown is longer, but it's not quick.
It's not quick, but it's quicker than, say, Twilight Imperium. Which I love Twilight Imperium, don't get me wrong, but like the setup of Twilight Imperium takes like half an hour just to set up the game. Like minimum. Sometimes more, depending on the number of players you have. So I'm gonna say it's a lot quicker than that. But okay, I could see that being a minor issue. Now I don't my only negative is something that could very easily be fixed with an expansion. I would like some different types of units in this. There's only one type of unit. You just have Vikings. You recruit Vikings. They go out and fight. I would love the option to like if you play a card that does multiple recruits, get a more expensive unit or something, like a
I
war chief or something
I
would be cool.
I think the reason there's only one is because they wanted to streamline it.
Yeah, and they did, and that's true. But it's a minor gripe for me, and it's not even a big one. I'm grasping at straws here because I'm having trouble coming up with negatives. Do you have any other negatives?
No, not
Yeah,
really.
that's the thing. So this game is really well streamlined, and yeah, like you said, they want to streamline. So and like I know we keep comparing it to Twilight Imperium because that's our favorite 4X game. But in Twilight Imperium, you have a ton of different types of units. In this, you only have one. But again, like I said, they want to streamline it, which leads me to believe that might be your first plus. What's your first plus?
Oh. That it's actually pretty quick at lower player counts to play.
To play a 4X game.
Yeah, and also it's it's almost like an introduction to 4X games
Yeah.
because there is only one type of unit. You don't have to explain to someone who's never played a 4X game like what the different units do. They all do the same thing.
Yeah. And
So
that's
I mean
that's great.
that was 2 pluses, 2 for 1.
Yeah, you got 2 pluses in there. I was gonna say you stole my turn, but yeah, no, it is definitely so. It's yeah, it works as an intro game, and also it's super streamlined for a 4X game. Most 4X games we have either own or have owned usually are on the 4+ hour mark. They're usually big, heavy, expansive games, and you enjoy that, but they're not the sort of thing you can just pull out on game night. I could pull this out on game night because you could get this in under 2 hours for a normal size number of players. You could get this in under 2 hours with 3, maybe 4 players, especially if the 4 people have all played it before. You could get it in under 2 hours. And being able to get it in under 2 hours means it's something that on game night you could be like, oh, hey, do you guys want to play Northgard the Uncharted Lands? I don't have another full-on 4X game that I could do that with. And that's pretty awesome. I'm just tacking on with your pluses you already had, but for a big plus for me, and I want to throw this out there because we already mentioned it earlier, is it's also the only full-on proper 4X game that we have that plays really well at 2 players, which means you and I can just pull it out and play it, which we can't do with any other 4X game we've ever owned even ones we don't even own anymore. Like any 4X game we've ever owned, you can't usually play them very well
Yeah,
at two players.
it's either impossible or their two-player version is just weird and weird and wonky.
Like throwing in neutral units and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, like Twilight Imperium, you can't. And then there was I want to say there have been some other ones we've had where they throw in like neutral armies and they have all these specific rules on how to work them.
It's like a completely different game at that point, and
So this doesn't do that. This is great at two players, which I was very pleasantly surprised about. So your turn for another plus. Well, you did two pluses. Should I do a second plus?
if you want to.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking. I mean, 'cause you slammed out like two in a row there. It was
'cause
yours was the
they were
streamlined and the
connected.
okay.
In my
and how
mind, they were connected.
how streamlined and then also how easy it is to
Well,
teach.
because
basically
it's streamlined,
yeah.
it led into that it's easy to teach to people.
And it is quite easy to teach. All right. So my next one is this game comes with a module. Now, we didn't show it because Lynn is actually not a huge fan of the module. The module adds in these neutral creatures that have their own AI and will wander around and either attack or kill guys or mess with your ability to do things in certain areas. I found it very interesting, and it added, in my opinion, some needed complexity that I really liked. When we tried out the module, I was a big fan of it, but Lynn didn't like it, and here's the thing, it's totally optional, so if the people you're playing with like it, you can. If they don't, you don't have to, and that's also great, which is why we chose not to show it. But I did like that it added in some extra complexity of trying to either avoid the monsters or try to manipulate things on the board so they go attack your opponent and things like that. Now, you said you liked that it was put in as an option.
Yes. Because I mean, I didn't like playing with it, so
So you liked that it was optional.
yeah, I thought it made a basically quick and easy game more complicated than I really enjoyed it.
And that's why I liked it. Because it made it more complex. Your turn for a plus.
The imagery on the cards is just really
It's great.
it's easy. No, I was talking about like the little hammers.
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
Yeah, it's like you look at the card and you know exactly what the card does. Like the Explorer card has a picture of the green tiles.
Yes.
The building cards have a little hammer.
Yeah. It's the iconography it takes no one a long time to get used to the iconography in this game. Like you look at it and you're immediately like, oh yeah, this is drawing a tile. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so obvious. Like there's so many games where you look at the iconography and you're like, what the hell does this mean again? You got to get the book. This one, you're like, oh yeah, I build a building. I move. It's got a little arrow. I move.
Mm-hmm. Or a little dude with a sword, like, I can recruit a guy.
Yeah, okay. So I would say the word we're looking for here is intuitive. It's very intuitive. I'm going to say the production is gorgeous. The artwork on the cards has this great animation, cel-shaded type style I really like. And then the components look really nice. The miniatures are beautiful and look great on the tabletop. Everything in this box is gorgeous with a capital G. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, what I remember, I don't really look at the pictures.
You're so ridiculous.
I don't.
Do you have any more pluses to give?
I don't think so.
Did we cover it pretty well? So if you couldn't tell, we're being overwhelmingly positive. We're both being overwhelmingly positive on this game. There's a lot here and a lot to like. So now we're gonna rate it, but then after we rate it, I have some important questions we're gonna pose to ourselves here about this game, being that it is like an intro level 4X, a lighter 4X, still a heavy game, but lighter than a lot of the other 4Xs out there that are solidly heavyweight games like Twilight Imperium or Rune Wars or any of those various 4X games. So Lynn, would you like to go first or second with the rating?
I'll go first.
Okay, how many stars up to 10 would you give to Northgard Uncharted Lands?
I would give it 8.
See, now that's really high. That's really good. And you know what?
7 with the added.
So 8 without the extra rules.
Yeah.
Okay, 8 without the creature module. So now here's the thing. I'm kind of reversed. The creature module brought it up to an 8 for me. Like before that, I was like, oh, this game is good. I would give it a 7. And then I played the creature module and I was like, 8. It jumped up. So it's funny. We have like the reverse opinion of why it is we are giving it an 8. But actually, I'm giving it an 8 as well. We're in total agreement on this one. This is a really good 4X game. So the first the first question I want to throw out there is, now there are a lot of people out there who are like huge fans of existing 4X games, Twilight Imperium being the biggest one. The big question is, does this replace a venerable classic game like Twilight Imperium for you?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
No, because the thing with Twilight Imperium is it's like an all-day affair.
Yes.
Like, you have people come over in the morning, midway through you order a pizza,
Yes.
and then like almost at the end you order some different food because you're still playing.
Because you're still playing. And this doesn't do that. Now, this is not going to be like, so I'm agreeing, this is not a Twilight Imperium killer. However, and this is the better question, in my opinion, the bigger question, is there room in your collection for both?
Well, yeah. Because this isn't an all-day thing.
It fills a totally different niche.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. And I didn't ask on these ahead of time, but I knew exactly how she was going to answer. And I thoroughly agree, which is why I want to do this on camera. So the thing is this is a 4X game, yes, but it is not in the same vein as Twilight Imperium. This is for people who look at Twilight Imperium and say, that game looks really cool, but I don't want to spend all day playing it. Or for people who play Twilight Imperium and love it, but go, man, I wish I could get it to the table more often. I wish I could just pull it out on game night. Because this is the game you can just pull out on game night and play a 4X game with. And I don't know another game that scratches that itch better in a shorter, smaller time frame than this one does. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to ask you those questions on camera. That's why I kind of blindsided you with those.
Ambushed me.
I ambushed you with them. But no, I mean, we're really positive on Northgard. This game is really good. If anything we talked about sounds cool to you, I would highly recommend you check out Northgard Uncharted Lands. This game is a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm pretty sure this has a permanent spot in our collection. We both liked it a lot. And again, one of the best things about this is Lynn and I can just play it, Lynn and I. We don't even have to wait for other people to come over. And that's awesome. And at 2 players, we can get this in under an hour and a half. Like, we're at the point, like, we shoot through this. Like, so we will definitely be able to just pull this out on a day when we want to play a board game. And we can do that. So there you have it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, either on the game of Northgard Uncharted Lands or on this video, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this review and tutorial and you'd like to see us do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Kaptain. That's Kaptain, spelled with a K, on YouTube. And until next time,
Game on.